What's up, guys? We got another pre-made e-bike review for you. Hopefully this will help you guys if you're looking at this segment. I'm here to help you decide whether or not you should spend your well-earned dollars, or maybe they're not even well-earned. Maybe you're like a drug dealer or something like that and you're just like, screw it. You're like Don Corleone or something. Either way, whether it's hard-earned or easily earned, whether you deserve your money or not, I'm gonna help you go over this bike and give you my 2 cents as a professional e-bike builder, you know, whether or not you think, whether or not this bike should be for you. So if you're new to this channel, I'm Johnny Nerd Out. I convert bikes professionally. I take a normal bike and I convert it into a killer e-bike. That is the best way to go as far as like value for your dollar, as far as performance goes, and getting exactly what you want. Unless you're looking for a bike like this Scrambler e-moped style bike, which I'm a sucker for. Whenever somebody's like, hey, we got this bike, would you like to review it? I'm always like, yeah, I think I do. I don't know why. Whenever I see these frames, I'm just like, let me review it. This looks cool. Let's do it. And this bike is $14.99. This is definitely super competitive bike. I have another one that I reviewed that's similar to this. It's the C3 Strom. Check out my review of that one if you're interested in like this under $2,000 e-moped style. Super 73 has been like the king for a while, and then there was like the Ariel, and I think even like Onyx kind of came into the mix, and now there's just the floodgates are open and everybody's coming in with one. So yeah, so I'm gonna do a review on this bike. I'm gonna go front to back, what I like about the bike, what I don't like about this bike. I'm gonna rate it. I'm gonna give it a performance score, value for the money score, design score, quality score, and a ride quality score. How it's like, you know, what it's like riding it. I'm also gonna do some performance tests on it. Let's do some top speed test and some hill climbing test. I got a new hill climb that I do where it's like a Widowmaker. It's like my old one that I used to do in Utah, but now that I'm in Washington, it's like that one, but 3 times as tall. So only the best of the best bikes make it up. Easily, I should say. They all make it up, but some of them just struggle. If you like this stuff, check out my other pre-made e-bike builds, or if you're thinking about building a custom one tailored to you, check out some of my custom e-bike builds. And you can check out my playlist if you go to my channel here, go by playlist and sort by that to find exactly the e-bike you're looking for. But this is the Freego DK200. So it's a hardtail scrambler, e-moped, however you want to classify it. It's kind of like the old 70s, you know, mini motorcycles, or even they're kind of making a comeback today with like the Honda Monkey and the Groms and the CT125s. And I love those bikes. And so I think that's why I always have like a soft spot for these bikes. So let's get right into it. This bike has got a front suspension fork, no lockout, no tunability, at least on this version that I got. It does have an integrated front headlight. It's actually very bright in my opinion. Fully integrated fenders, and you can see these ones are on there pretty secure. They're not flimsy. A lot of these things are flimsy. These are plastic, but they're firm. They're on there good. These are 20 by 4.0 inch tires, so they're small but fat. It's kind of weird. It's got mechanical disc brakes up front, but this one's got hydraulic disc brakes in the rear, which is weird. If anything, I would want them swapped. I'd want hydraulics up front and mechanical in the rear. I don't know why they did that, if this was just a one-off, but it's kind of interesting. But you do most of your braking up front. You do 70% of your braking up front. You'd want the better brakes up front. So why they did that, I don't know. One thing I noticed while putting this bike together, it's got lockout, your dropouts. It's got locking dropout rings here. So it keeps your bike from falling, your front wheel from falling off if it ever came loose, which is, it's a cool little safety feature. I like that. Going forward, it's got these little, it's got kind of like motorcycle handlebar. They come up a little bit. They're not like those mountain bike straight bars. They kind of come up. They're like cruisers, which is pretty nice. It's got a pretty basic display. It's the G51. It kind of just shows you, you know, that dummy battery gauge, like you got 1 out of 5 bars left. It's never super accurate. I always like to see a digital voltage meter, and this one does have it, so that's really nice. So you could scroll through it, find your voltage. So I would always go by that. Don't go by your 1 to 2 out of 5 bars. Go by your voltage. And then it just got like your basic. It'll show you your current, miles per hour, trip, odometer, all that type of stuff. This version came with a phone mount. I don't know if they're all going to come with that or if that was just a freebie for me, but that was kind of cool. I definitely liked it. It has a bell here, which is nice. Hey, where'd all my friends go? Nobody wants to hang out with me anymore. So that's kind of cool. It's got really good cable management. I actually, the first thing I noticed was like, that's pretty good. They got these spiral wrap, but it's like super tight all the way through. It's actually a really good job. A lot of places, they scrimp on that. And it's like, you went through all this time to make the bike and then you scrimped on the cable management. This is really nice, so I like that. Interesting frame up here. It's super basic, but they did reinforce up front here, which is good because I don't know why. I feel like people, maybe it's wrong, but if people are going to be buying pre-made e-bikes, I feel like they abuse them. And so they better be overbuilt. And I like that this frame is a little bit overbuilt, but it still looks basic. It still looks simple. So that's always good. It's got a 48 volt, 20 amp hour battery here. So that's definitely good. That's a good size battery. It's 1,000 watt hours. You know, so range is going to vary depending on how heavy footed you are, between 30 and 60 miles, I would say, realistically. I would have liked to have seen, this is the Jumbo Shark pack, so they could have put a 24.5 amp hour pack in here or bigger, which would have been nice to see, but 20 amp hours is still, that's huge. It's got a single chainring, single speed drivetrain in the back as well. So you can tell this is pretty much a throttle only bike. You could pedal with it, but I don't know. I feel like when you got a single speed, you bought this for throttle only. You're not going to be pedaling much with this. Now they may have a different version with, you know, a multi-speed chain line, like a cassette, and that may be more geared towards pedaling, for actually putting human input in. It's got a Bafang. It's rated at 1200 watt according to the website, but their spokesperson said that the controller is maxed at 21 amps. So that would be, 21 times 54, that'd be rated about like 1100, I think. 1200 to 11 watts, but the motor's rated at 1200. I'm assuming it's a 1200 watt system. That's gonna probably be peak. Controller's mounted under the seat, which is nice. That's when I built my own moped. Me and my friend Sean built it. Sean designed it, but we built it. We put the controller under here as well. I think that's just a good, smart place to put it. It's got a rear kickstand here, rear mounted, which is nice. It has a working brake light, which is nice. When you hit the brakes, this goes on. Okay, let's go do a performance test where I take this thing up the Widowmaker and then also see what the top speed can be. And just so you know too, I have unlocked the display according to the things online that I found on some forums of you could unlock the full potential, and I have this on highest pedal assist levels during these tests. So let's go do a hill climb and top speed test. So you can see the hill climbing test was definitely weak. It was the weakest hill climber that I've seen, but that's what you get with a hub motor. They're not made for climbing hills like that. That's not a hill you're going to see in the wild. And if you do, you're going to see, like in my test, I had to get the longest runway I could to get up it, which for most people, you're not going to come across that hill. And if you are, you're going to hit it with speed. But it's just kind of to show you what this bike can do against like a very steep hill. And if you want to see what some custom-made e-bikes can do against that steep hill, check out some custom-made e-bikes. Okay, so let's go over what I like and don't like about this bike. What I like the front fenders. It's definitely good. I like the front skewer locks that hold that wheel in. I like the rear hydraulic brake. I'm not a huge fan of the front mechanical brake, but it's not bad. I really do like this super bright headlight. That is nice. I like the cable management. And it's a simple design. If you're looking for just a simple cruise around town, go down to the pub, whatever, this is a good bike for that. What I don't like about this bike, I don't like the front mechanical brake. It's a cheap one. I don't care for it. I would be upgrading this day one. I don't like these front suspension fork. This one is really cheap. It was literally like bone rattling when I was taking it off road and when I would go down a hill and I would hit the thing, it would literally compress and be like, dung, it literally rung my bell. That I would upgrade these forks or see if they had an upgraded version of it. I would definitely be doing that because they're almost just for show. But it does help for very light grade trail riding, I would say. And then I'm not crazy about the power. I wish it was more powerful. Some motors are too powerful right out of the gate. Some are not. This one's a little bit more on the, I wish it had a little bit more power. That's just me. Some people are not, they don't really care. They're not trying to go super fast and they're not trying to climb the hills that I'm showing you. So find out what camp you're in and what your needs are and whether or not this is gonna check the box. Let's go, let's rate this bad boy, shall we? Let's go with performance. Performance, I'm not crazy about performance. I don't think this thing was built to be like a high performance vehicle. So for that, I'm gonna give it a 4 for performance. It didn't have a whole lot of power, but again, if you don't need crazy power, that's fine. If you're just looking to cruise around the campgrounds and stuff, that's where the wheelhouse of this bike is, pun intended. Let's go design. It's got a cool design. It's nothing crazy. It's very simple, obviously, just some bent aluminum. It'll get a couple extra points for this. The brake situation, I'm scratching my head on why front mechanical, rear hydraulic. It's a little weird, but I'll give it a 7 for design. It's decent. It's what you want. There's nothing that's like crazy bad or crazy good, but it's decent. The seat is somewhat comfortable. It's nothing to like write home about, but it's doable. So I'll give it a 7 for that. Quality. Out of the gate, the front forks quality, I'm not crazy about that. The brakes quality is not great. Everything else is fair to midland. For this price point though, you can't expect a Mercedes for a Ford price. And I think they're trying to go for a Ford price. That being said, I'd say quality is I'll give it a 6 for quality. It's not terrible. It's a $1,500 e-bike with a giant battery. So you have to accept life on life's terms, and I'll give it a 6 for quality. Ride quality, how it feels while I'm riding it, that front fork, it was kind of annoying pretty quick that it kept bottoming out as quickly as it did. If you go off of a curb or anything like that, you just hear it go dung. That's like my biggest takeaway from the ride quality. Other than that, like I actually kind of like these small fat tires. It was pretty maneuverable and it just feels like really agile. So for ride quality, I'm gonna give it a 6 again for that. If you upgrade those forks, I think you would have you might have an 8, honestly, if you upgrade those forks. Or if they have an upgraded version, upgrade those forks. And I did try turning these little knobs up here. They do nothing. So before you start leaving comments of like, did you try to adjust it? I think there's little things here, but they don't adjust anything and they don't really spin. There's no knobs to do it. You have to like force it and it doesn't do anything. So value for the money. This is probably the most important one, in my opinion. For $1,500, and I'm comparing this to other bikes out there on the market, because when you're watching this in the year 2044, $1,500 is going to be like, well, you can't even buy a pack of gum for $1,400. So this is in the year 2022. $14.99 can get you a decent amount. I don't want to list all the things, but I'd give this a 7 for value. Nothing on it is crazy expensive. I think it's a decent value. I'll give it a 7 for value. All right, now I want to talk about who is this bike for. I would say if you're looking at this bike, either looking for a neighborhood cruiser, maybe you live in a suburban area and you want to go to your neighbors' houses on the weekends and go to the barbecues and stuff, but they live like 2-3 blocks away and you don't want to drive You don't want to walk. This is a perfect just neighborhood cruising bike, or possibly like putting it on the back of your RV and taking it to campgrounds. If you're somebody who camps a lot, these small fat tires would be great on hard pack light trails and seeing around like the national parks and stuff. It is street legal. It's rated at 750 watt. So it is street legal. You could take this to national parks. I could see that being a good alternative to like a Super 73. Way less money, depending on which model you go with. That's what I think. Sorry, the sun is like right in my eyeball, right in the corner eyeball. So it's hard to like, I'm not trying to be sheepish. I'm just trying to preserve my eyesight. Yeah. All right, feel free to ask any questions in the comment. If you are an owner of this bike and you want to chime in, you feel like I missed something, you're like, dude, you didn't even talk about the part where an umbrella pops out of the back and it shades you and it collects solar while you ride. Feel free to chime in. All right, other than that, thanks for tuning in, guys. Hopefully this helps somebody. And I'll put a link to this bike down below. I don't get a commission or anything for this. I don't get paid for this review, never do. So, but if you want this bike, you could click on the link below. Later, guys.